Hi, everybody. Good evening. It is 6:30 on January 13th, 2026. Meeting of the Hingham Select Board is called to order. I'm going to know for the record that this meeting is being held in person and/or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is anyone recording tonight's meeting? Seeing none? All right. I know for the record that participated in tonight's meeting are board members Liz Klein, Julie Straley, and myself, William Ramsey, Chair. For those who are willing and able, please stand and face the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I believe that we have, do we have no minutes tonight? Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, no minutes. All right. Moving to item 4, which is to proclaim Monday, January 19th, 2026, as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the town of Hingham. So I will turn it over to Julie. Want to start us?
Town of Hingham, Massachusetts, Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., born January 15, 1929, was a nationally recognized leader of the American Civil Rights Movement, whose life and work advanced the principles of equality, justice, and nonviolent social change. And whereas through his leadership and moral courage, Dr. King played a pivotal role in the passage of landmark civil rights legislation, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And
whereas Dr. King called upon all people to confront injustice, to serve one another, and to work collectively toward a society grounded in fairness, dignity, and mutual respect. And whereas Martin Luther King Jr. Day is observed as a national day of service, encouraging individuals and communities to honor Dr. King's legacy through reflection, volunteerism, and acts that strengthen our communities.
And whereas the town of Hingham is committed to fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and respectful community for all residents. Now, therefore, we, William C. Ramsey, Elizabeth F. Klein, and Julie M. Straley, Select Board of Hingham, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 19th, 2026, as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the town of Hingham, and encourages all residents to honor Dr. King's enduring legacy by promoting understanding, compassion, service, and justice within our community. Given under our hands and seal of Hingham, this 13th day of January 2026, signed William C. Ramsey, Chair, Elizabeth F. Klein, and Julie M. Straley. And with that, I would take a motion.
I will make a motion to proclaim Monday, January 19th, 2026, as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the town of Hingham.
second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. And Tom, could you ask Sharon to send it over to Steve Laird of the HRC?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you don't mind. He asks for the proclamations after we do it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Next item on the agenda is consider the request of LSF Hingham LLC, doing business as Legal Seafoods, 96 Derby Street, Suite 325, Hingham, for a change of hours. I believe we have Donna Cruz of Legal Seafoods with us tonight. All right. Ms. Cruz, good evening. Why don't you tell us, well, first of all, introduce yourself and tell us what you're asking us to do tonight. Ms. Cruz, I'm going to have you start from the top because we didn't hear you. So if you could kick off right now.
Yep, you can hear me now?
Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Donna Cruz. I am a paralegal with the licensee, and we're petitioning to change our weekend hours. So that would be Saturday and Sunday. We'd like to open an hour earlier. Right now, Saturday and Sundays, we open at 11 a.m. We'd like to petition to open at 10 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays so we can serve brunch.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of brunch, so I'm thrilled to hear this request. Tom, are there any concerns from the police department or the Board of Health about this request?
None. I think they like brunch as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure they do. I'll meet the chief up there. All right. Liz, any questions or comments?
No questions. It looks like the application is in order, and I'm assuming Chief Jones has reviewed it.
He has, and there are no questions.
Great. Thank you.
Julie, any questions or comments?
No questions.
Do any members of the public have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request of LSF Hingham LLC, doing business as Legal Seafoods, 96 Derby Street, Suite 325, Hingham, for a change of hours on Saturdays and Sundays from 11 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. in accordance with the application for a change of hours filed on December 19th, 2025, subject to the approval of the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. Moving to item 6, which is to appoint the treasurer collector as the custodian of disposition of tax title properties. So Tom, why don't you walk us through this item?
Sure. So, per a new law that was passed in 2022, we are now required to, instead of transfer tax title property to an entity such as the Affordable Housing Trust or the Conservation Commission, those entities now have to purchase the property through an auction process. And as a result, if we are hoping that this property could end up in the hands of the Affordable Housing Trust, for instance, we would have to issue an auction. In order to do that, we have to have a custodian of disposition of tax title properties designated, and we're recommending that that be Laurie Magner, our treasurer collector.
Congratulations, Lori. We're giving you something else to do tonight. Yeah. You don't have enough to do as it is. So
And other duties.
All right. Liz, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Lori.
Julie?
No questions. Thank you, Lori.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I take a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Select Board for the Town of Hingham does hereby vote to appoint the Town of Hingham Treasurer Collector as custodian to have the care, custody, management, and control of all real property acquired by foreclosure of tax title and to sell said foreclosed tax title property at public auction, all in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 77B.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries unanimously. Takes us to item 7, which is FY27 departmental budget request. We're going to go through a couple different budgets tonight, so we can move those over to the advisory committee. So let's start tonight with the treasurer collector budget, and we have Lori with us. Lori, if you can come up. And for those who, and we all know you, but for those who don't know you, if you could just state your name and position.
My name is Laurie Magner, and I am the treasurer collector, and I'm here to present the budget for my department. Okay, so this page is showing us the mission and services. So as treasurer, I manage all the town's cash, deposits, disbursements, investments, the investment of trust funds, investment of temporary available cash, debt issuance, and I am the custodian of the tax lien deeds. That's different than the custodian of the one I was just appointed as. So that means I maintain the tax lien accounts so that if a person doesn't pay their taxes, we put a tax lien on it, and we just try to collect that money differently than we do normally. As collector, we issue and collect all the tax bills for real estate, personal property, sewer betterments, sewer use and sewer liens, motor vehicle, and boat excise. Enforcement measures to collect is we send demand bills, deputy warrants, we set people up on payment plans, and we do tax liens if we have to. And we also can flag people at the RMV for motor vehicle taxes. We also issue municipal lien certificates for sales and refinances. My department consists of 3 full-time people and 3 part-time people. We have myself as treasurer collector, assistant treasurer collector Mary Jane Deach, our revenue receipts administrator is Nancy Leahy, and 3 tax receipt clerks, Brittany Gianibus, Jen Doan, and Ann Larissy. Okay. Okay. The expenditures are on this chart here. The treasurer collector's budget this year, we're asking for $532,428,000. The budget mostly consists of salaries. $452,573 is the budgeted amount for 2027. The other expenses that we have in the office, repair and maintenance of office equipment, $1,365. Office supplies, $1,500. Stationery supplies, $180. Books and periodicals, $200. Meetings and seminars, $2,070. In-state travel, $1,100, and dues, $285. One of our biggest expenses is postage and courier services, and that is $40,745. Printing services are our next highest expense, and that is $21,410. Total expenses, $68,855. And we have in our budget $11,000 for a tax title cost, which is when we do take a property into tax title, we use an attorney to process those tax titles. And that is it. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, Lori, thank you very much. Liz, do you have any questions or comments?
Lori, could you just explain the increase in the salary?
Well, that's all due to COLA increases and step increases.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Julie?
Just a quick question about under the expenses, the printing services, the print vendor notified the town of a 7% increase for printing services. The note here is FY '26. Do you mean FY '27 or?
Yes, I did not see those when I was doing this. I didn't see the memos until I had it printed out today, and you wouldn't have gotten the change in time, so.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
looking forward to what the
Yes.
vendor will increase the services,
Yeah.
hence the increase. Okay, thank you.
Do any members of the public have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Lori, thanks for all you do. You're doing a great job for us. Very much appreciated. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the town clerk budget. We have our town clerk, Carol Falvey, with us. Carol, good evening.
Good evening. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Carol Falvey. I'm the town clerk. I have 2 budgets before you tonight. One is town clerk and one as the elections coordinator. I'm just going to go through, I hate to read, but we do a lot in our department, and this is my one opportunity to kind of get the word out. So we maintain the public meeting schedule, which includes posting agendas in compliance with the open meeting law, and we probably post about 1,200 of those during the course of the year. We keep vital records. We process and issue birth certificates, marriage, and death certificates. I serve as the public record access officer. We've had a dramatic increase in the number of public record requests over the past year. In 2025, I fulfilled 265 requests. I participate in my office at town meeting. We check in voters, we establish a quorum, we maintain records, I prepare voter certifications, and submit filings to the Attorney General's office. We distribute, you all received this, the annual street listing census. We just sent out over 11,800 censuses. And then we need to receive those back and update the data in our voter registration database. We issue licenses and permits, dog licenses over 1,500, and business certificates about 180. We manage violation and citation collection, which includes parking and building fines. We provide some notary services. Call if you're interested. We serve as a town record keeper, and we conduct some historical and genealogical research. So that's a little bit of what we do on a day-to-day basis. So when we get to my budget, a lot of the town clerk budget is for salaries. I'm asking for a total of $283,388. Most of that is related to salaries. There are 3 people. There's myself. There's Jennifer Donnelly, who's the assistant town clerk, and Laura Donnelly, no relation, who is our senior clerk. And then we have a modest about $20,000 in various expenses for supplies and for dues and printing and postage. Let's see, with any other expenses that I wanted to highlight. I think that basically covers it for town clerk expenses. I don't know if you want to have questions before we move on to elections.
I would just say, Carol, we've seen a significant increase in public records requests this past year.
Absolutely.
And you've done a wonderful job managing that. I know it's a lot of work, and you and your team have done a great job, so thank you very much for that. Do you have any questions, Liz?
Just again, the same question about the salary line. Is that also
It's
COLA?
all COLA and steps and increases.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Julie?
I echo what Bill said. You're all very busy, and whenever I see your emails, you're just sending emails all the time, agendas and public records requests and all that. So thank you for running such a great, smooth office
Appreciate it.
environment.
Good job.
So thank you.
Doing a great
And I have a question about the next budget, so I'm all set about this one.
All right. So move to elections, and
So
I'll
we'll
take
move-
public
So
comment.
we'll move to elections. So the one thing when you're looking at year to year, the election budget is always going to vary depending on the number of elections we're holding. This current year, we only had 1 town election. So in the next fiscal year, we will have a state primary. We will have a state election in November, which apparently is going to have 11 petition article questions on it. And then we will have next spring, a year from now, we'll have our town election. So you will see a big bump in the budget compared to the current year because of those elections. It's all driven by that. So our total expenses, which is, I think, pretty modest, but it's $59,235. And of that, there's just under $25,000 for personal services. And most of that is related to our part-time election workers that we do pay minimum wage. We do have a number of people who volunteer their time, but we also do pay a minimum wage to election workers. So that is the salary component. And then the expenses, again, we have postage, we have printing, we pay for our own town ballots. The state will pay for the state ballots. All of the expenses that I put in are net of what I expect to receive from for early voting. Early voting, we do receive reimbursements for postage for some election workers' salaries. But based on last year, I put in the gross, and then we had to take it out because there wasn't enough money to go around. So this year I just went with a net figure, and we're gonna make it work. So, so that is pretty much it, unless you have any specific questions. Or Julie, you said you had one?
Yeah, do you want to go first, Bill?
No, I was going to make a comment. I have some good news for you. It's not part of your budget, but Tom has assured me that town meeting will be over in 2 nights this year. So
Let's not get into that.
we'll see. All right, Julie, go ahead.
Thank you, Carol. Just one quick question about under R&M computer equipment. what is the jump from 1,000 to 8,000? I'm assuming you.
So that, again, it
bought
has to do with
something.
the election. So we do
Okay.
coding for every election as part of the tabulator. So when you submit your ballot into the tabulator, there's a card that helps to read the ballot. So it is specifically coded for each election. So that's why you have the jump, because we've gone from one election to 3. And that's done for every election.
And the coding is done by the company, the vendor of
vendor,
the,
yes.
okay.
And then under, just while we're on computer services, we have maintenance fees for our poll pads and for our tabulators.
Yep. Okay. That's all I have.
Liz, any questions?
Well, thank you, Carol, to you and your team for successfully running several elections. How does this budget compare to a year where we've had 3 elections?
So I basically, this budget is based on the fiscal year 23 budget.
Okay.
It should be very similar, other than for some costs, some postage increases and things like that.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any members of the public have any questions for Carol? All right, not seeing anybody. We'll next turn to Carol. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You know where to find me if you do.
We'll next turn to the human resources budget. We have Lisa Campbell with us. Lisa, come on up.
Hello. For anybody who doesn't know me, my name's Lisa Campbell. I'm the HR director for the town. The Human Resources Department focuses on our missions and services as it relates to the human resources function for all part-time and full-time non-school employees. We assist the Personnel Board with the administration of the personnel bylaw. We ensure compliance with any type of labor laws and regulations. And we assist employees and retirees and family members with accessing their medical, dental, and their life insurance. A big lift with that, the biggest lift with that during the year is usually open enrollment. But, people have qualifying events throughout the year, so it's an ongoing thing too. The department is a small department. It consists of 2 full-time staff, myself, and a benefits coordinator. Our benchmarks and metrics focus on the 6 collective bargaining agreements that we have in town, the number of staff that we hire and we separate, and the collecting benchmark data from the 19 comparable communities that we have. Key initiatives that we focus on is maintaining the wage and classification system, maintaining any type of record-keeping systems that we have, and focusing on training initiatives. The total budget that I'm requesting is $228,021, with $9,325 of that being of expenses. So the majority of my budget is also salaries. The increase that you see for salaries is also from COLAs. The biggest chunk of the expense request is the training budget at $5,000. Second to that would be office supplies, and that's really because we have open enrollment supplies and requirements that come out of that budget, as well as the cost for labor law posters. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Lisa, thank you very much. Liz, any questions?
Well, thank you for staying within the 3.5%. Lisa gets a gold star. The training, are you continuing the same harassment training, or is this a new training program for
So-
this year?
Best practice is to do, a small training each year for harassment training, and then every 3 years to do a little bit of what I call a deep dive. We do have to tailor that for our type of staff because we have public safety people that can't dedicate 3 hours of training in a day. Most people can't, honestly, in town. So we try to work with somebody who can be flexible with us. But yeah, annually, I would like to have some type of a harassment training.
Great, thank you.
Julie, any questions?
Lisa, thank you for all that you do, but I have no questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Any members of the public have any questions for Lisa? All right, Lisa, thanks very much. Good seeing you
Thank you,
again.
great job.
Next item on the agenda is the conservation budget. We have Shannon Palmer with us this evening. Shannon, good evening. Good to see you.
Hello, Shannon Palmer, Conservation Officer with the Town of Hingham. For those of you that don't know, the Conservation Commission is primarily charged with protecting the community's natural resources and also acquiring land for conservation and passive recreation. Our other primary responsibility is to administer and enforce the Wetlands Protection Act, which we have a state act as well as a local wetlands protection bylaw for the commission to protect wetlands and water bodies in Hingham. Some of our other primary responsibilities include overseeing over 1,000 acres of open space in Hingham. We run a hunting program on some of those conservation parcels that we do allow hunting on. We review and issue permits for work within jurisdictional areas. And we also participate in long-range planning documents for the community's open space areas and passive recreation. Our office is made up of myself, a full-time conservation officer, as well as 2 full-time staff. I have an assistant conservation officer, Sylvia Schuler, and administrative assistant, Natasha Molina. As far as our benchmarks, most of our work in the office is focused primarily on new applications. That's because we see so much development in Hingham, particularly within jurisdictional areas. There's a lot of areas in Hingham that do fall under our jurisdiction because they're either within a wetland or within 100 feet of a wetland. So that is the bulk of my time is spent on reviewing new development projects as well as overseeing construction. This year so far, we're up to 62 new applications for work in the commission's jurisdiction, which is on track for what we saw last year. Our revenue is fees that we collect for new applications, and that is based on the type of activity. There are fees under the state act, which we get a portion of, and also our local bylaw fees. So we're also on par so far as to what we did last year. Our total budget is $285,691. A bulk of that being salaries. The increases, as you can see on the chart, are the step increases in COLA. Looks a little different this year because I separated out the full-time admin and the full-time CO, so that's why the numbers, the percentages are different, but it's just a standard increase. As far as our operating expenses, pretty standard from last year, consistent from last year. The R&M grounds, that is a substantial number because that's not only for maintenance of conservation land, but also for our obligations to the town of Hull for the Straits Pond Tidal Gate. Unfortunately, we just don't really have definitive numbers this time of year to base our budget request on. So I just estimate it based on what we think might come up for Hull, in addition to our regular maintenance obligations. Other studies and analyses might come up that we need to contribute to. We owe 25% of those charges to Hull. And other than that, we have our dues, our vehicle fuel, those are all consistent, advertising. Our consultant services went way down because last year we were given the funding for our update to our regulations, which we were thrilled about. That is almost done. We're very happy with how that's going. We should have those wrapped up, we're hoping this spring. So next year, we just reduced that to $5,000. And there was one other increase. The member dues went up a little bit. And actually, I think that was, the meetings and seminars, sorry, that went up a little bit because we do have 2 new members and they've expressed a lot of interest in doing some workshops. So we just accounted for that. That's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Shannon, thank you. Liz, any questions?
So this looks good. Thank you, Shannon, for all that you do. Just a question about the Foundry Pond, that report. How often does that have to be done?
Yeah, and I apologize. I updated this afternoon. You might have the most recent printed copy, but that the inspection, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm actually doing now, so it's covered under FY26.
Okay. Do you have to do it again, though, in future years?
Only every 10 years.
10 years.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Julie?
Thank you, Shannon. I have a quick question about under R&M grounds, the work being done with Hull on Straits Pond.
Yes.
So I remember when the town of Hingham started working with Cohasset, it was probably like around maybe 21 or 22, about addressing issues with Straits Pond. But I have a question about there's an increase, and it's because of erosion issues on on the estuary side of the gate.
Yes.
And do you see that as just a one-time, do you see this as an expense every single year, or is it just dealing right now with problems in the now that you'll resolve, or is it ongoing?
I don't think it'll be ongoing. We're kind of, Hull obviously takes the lead on that, so we're kind of waiting for them to take that initiative to decide, okay, can we move forward with that? They've already procured some analysis from the Woods Hole Group about the estuary issues. So taking it to the next step, we're hoping they do this year because we really want to see those issues addressed. I think it was kind of an inadvertent impact from the tidal gate going in that is causing those issues on the other side of the estuary. So the one-time expense would be to contribute to the study that hopefully identifies a way to resolve it. And then there might be another expense later if they end up doing a capital project to address it. But it's just, there's so much up in the air right now. I don't have, anything definitive.
Okay, thank you.
Any members of the public have any questions for Shannon? All right, Shannon, thanks so much. Good to see you again. Thanks for all you do. Next item on the agenda is historic preservation budget. We have Heidi Gall with us, our historic administrator. Heidi, good to see you again.
So I'm sure everyone just heard, but my name is Heidi Gall, and I am the Historic Preservation Administrator. So I support the Historical Commission and the Historic Districts Commission. The Historical Commission plans and implements programs to identify, evaluate, and protect historic resources as required by the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 and Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8D. We've maintained the town's comprehensive community inventory of historic, architectural, and archaeological resources. I work with town departments to ensure that the consideration of historic resources in community planning efforts and in project permitting and oversight, participates in the development of the town master, and participate in the development of the town's master plan. I help coordinate review of state or federally funded local projects with the Mass Historical Commission to ensure protection of local historic resources. We also develop and implement programs to promote public awareness of Hingham's history and heritage. The Historic Districts Commission preserves and protects the town's historic, architectural, and archaeological resources, landscapes, streetscapes, and sense of place as set forth in Mass General Law, Chapter 40C. We conduct design review of proposed projects in historic districts in accordance with the Secretary of the Interior's standards for the treatment of historic properties. We confer with property owners or their representatives to facilitate the application and design review process and collaborate with applicants and their representatives to achieve an end product that meets their needs and meets the standards set forth by the Secretary of the Interior. As for department staff, it's just me. So that's pretty easy.
How's morale amongst the staff? You guys doing okay?
What's that?
How's morale amongst the staff?
Oh, yeah, it's okay.
I need to go out to brunch.
So some key initiatives would be to continue our lecture series, the Virginia Tay Memorial Lecture Series, where we invite celebrated authors in the field of American history. And we've had Ken Burns, we've had Robert Meacham, a lot of very exciting people. Andrew Weissman was this past summer. Another initiative would be to promote community awareness for the importance of preserving Hingham's unique history and significant historic events, highlighting people, places, and events important in the development of the town and its cultural and historical heritage. We maintain the integrity of Hingham's historical and architectural assets, streetscapes, scenic vistas through careful and comprehensive design review. We sponsor an annual essay contest focused on Hingham's history and present a cash award to the high school senior who submitted the winning essay. We fund eligible projects with grants from the Greenbush Historic Preservation Trust and continue the annual Town of Hingham Preservation Award, which we have actually only done once, but I'm hoping to bring back. So we'll keep that on our list for now. And I also help to develop a townwide preservation plan as recommended in the town's master plan. And locations of historic districts, we have On our historical inventory, including homes, buildings that are in historic districts and not, we have approximately 1,500, and about 700 or so are in historic districts. I won't go through all the different districts now. In FY '25, I reviewed 136 applications. Additionally, 44 were reviewed by the Historic Districts Commission, and 23 were reviewed by the Historical Commission under the demolition delay bylaw. For expenditures, I will be asking for $92,523. That's up $7,203 from the year before, which is up 8.44%. The reason for that is, like you've seen in the other departments, salary increases. I do have an additional response, but I'll get to that at the end. So you can see that expenses were 10.3%, and the rest is salary. So you can see that we're up on this next slide. We're up from in spending, or we're asking for more than the previous year, but we're still lower than FY '24. That's due to salary differences with the prior administrator. So if we go through the lines, department head would be $82,985. I don't have clerical services anymore, so that's zero. So office supplies, 600, books and periodicals, 300. And there's really no change from the year before. $110, meetings and seminars, 300. Dues, 110. The annual assessment for monuments is 2,000. Postage and courier is 400. Printing services, 600. And repair and maintenance of the bell tower, 5,228. So that gets me to my additional request. So through town meeting 2019, the town took by eminent domain and the Canterbury Street Cemetery, and that was in coordination with the heirs that were no longer interested in maintaining it. So it's been sporadically maintained, and I have been approached by a resident who has some concerns about it, safety-wise and just maintenance-wise. And I agree. I feel like since the town, wanted this and acquired it, we should maintain it. It is, it's open. It's town land, so it's open to the public. So we don't want someone tripping over things that are, branches that are fallen. So I think. So I consulted the DPW and got an estimate for if they were to maintain it, and that annually was $3,728.72. So, so that's what I'm asking for. I think it would be great if it was maintained. I don't have money really in my budget for that, but hopefully the town does.
Ashley might.
So I spoke with Ashley about this.
Okay.
DPW will be absorbing this additional request.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
The 72
And
cents.
that's it.
Yeah, make sure.
In the 72 cents.
Yeah.
It's 72 cents. That's right.
Well, they based it on actual salaries and things. So.
Oddly specific.
No, thank you for bringing that forward. That's important.
Heidi, thanks for all the great work you're doing with the commission and the district commission. A resident did reach out to me, probably the same one reached out to you, and asked me to ask about the preservation award coming back.
Oh, okay.
So I'm happy to help you with that.
Yep.
I think it's a
Okay.
great idea. It was great when we had it, and I can help you to facilitate that coming back. I'm happy to do that.
Great. Thank you
Something
very
I'm
much.
interested in, so thank you.
Appreciate
All right, Liz, any questions?
No questions. Great work. Thank you, Heidi.
Julie?
Thank you, Heidi. And I had a question about the request about the Canterbury Street Cemetery. I remember when town meeting had a good debate on the floor of town meeting about acquiring the cemetery. And one of the questions that advisory committee had gone over and over about was, we own it, then we have to maintain it.
Right.
And so we're seeing just sort of,
Yeah, it's been sporadically maintained. Ashley's crew did a great, I think it was a spring or summer cleanup or fall cleanup maybe, but it just, it gets overgrown so quickly, and there's a crumbling wall. So I spoke to Ashley about that. Maybe we can, fit a little bit of, repair to the wall in with that money as well. So, it's the Barnes family and Stoddard family, so it's a really old family cemetery for Hingham. So it's kind of nice that we, have decided to maintain it.
I'll note that there was a community preservation grant, which also helped restore headstones in that cemetery and clean up that area. But, things happen, trees fall down, brush needs to be cut back. So
Yeah. I tried to maybe get a tax work-off person for it, but it was kind of tricky because they need power tools. And, then somebody suggested maybe someone from the high school, and that's to, power tools with a kid unattended. We didn't think that was a good idea. So this was kind of the last resort. So appreciate you taking care of it.
Okay, I have one other quick question, just under your key initiatives, and we could talk more about this offline, but I just wanted to mention that you have creating a walking trail from the downtown to the harbor.
Yes.
And I was wondering
that's-
what the plan would be or the funding source or what's going on
So
with that.
I just kept that on there because it was an initiative of, and I didn't mention it tonight, but it was an initiative of the prior administrator, and some work was done. But I really have to find out kind of where it stopped, why not, why are we not doing it? And also we've been working with the Historical Society. Art and I have been doing a Rev 250 task force meetings, and they've been talking about doing some kind of walking tour. So I've kind of focused on working with the Historical Society on that and doing a town walking tour, which is a little bit on the back burner right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any members of the public have any questions for Heidi? Oh, Diane DiNapoli. Hey, Diane, just say name and address, please.
Hi, Diane DiNapoli, 16 Gardner Street. Thank you for taking my question. I just had a question about, do you know, Heidi, how many gravestones, I know you mentioned a couple, but how many are maintained, veterans' graves are maintained annually by the town? And were there any veteran graves in the cemetery we are now going to maintain?
So I don't quote me on the number, but I think it's about 28 monuments and markers that we have throughout town. And we, do an annual assessment. We completed 5 last summer-ish, about a year ago. We had about 5 monuments that we restored around town. And we do have an Eagle Scout that's wants to do a project where he would put a QR code on a little post next to not every single monument, but ones that are easily accessible. We have some that are in road islands, and that's not a good idea. So to invite people to go there. So it'll just be for certain accessible, like the Iron Horse, the Benjamin Lincoln statue, maybe others that are easy to get to. So that'll be another way to kind of invite the public to learn more about them. But as for the Canterbury Street Cemetery, I don't know off the top of my head if there's any particular veterans, but I would be happy to get back to you on that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Oh, go ahead. If you go up to the lectern and say your name and address.
Melissa Fairfield, 39 Levitt Street. I just had a quick question about the cemetery, and sorry if this was covered before, but are there spaces available?
In this cemetery, no, it's not an active cemetery.
So I didn't know if there was.
It's like it's a historic. It was on the Barnes estate,
Right.
which was is no longer really around. But these 2 heirs were maintaining it. It was too much for them. They didn't even live in the area, I don't think, and so the town took it over. So it's not. The town doesn't own any active cemeteries. They're all privately owned, except for this little one. And it's very small. It's 3/4 of an acre.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Melissa, thank you. Anyone else? Heidi, thanks so much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Last budget discussion on the agenda is Public Works and Transportation. And we're going to have Ashley Boyer come up, our superintendent of the DPW. And Ashley, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So I'm Ashley Boyer, Superintendent of Public Works in the transfer station, and this is,
Lance Mortland, Assistant Superintendent, DPW.
so we'll just go over our budget a little bit. So the Public Works Department, we're the town engineer, we have fleet maintenance, a highway department, tree and park department, and the transfer station. Transfer station I'll talk about separately, it's its own budget. But in the Public Works Department, myself and my assistant Lance Mortland, and then I have Liz Welch as my office manager, and I have 3 other office staff, and my fleet maintenance supervisor, and 3 other guys that work in my shop to maintain all the vehicles for the entire DPW department, and we also assist with other departments in the town with vehicle maintenance. Highway department, who maintains all of the roads, any roadside things, sidewalks, drainage throughout the town. And the Tree and Parks Division, who maintains 90% of the fields and islands and all of the town shade trees throughout town, where we have over 10,000 public shade trees in the town, just as like a general idea. 60 miles of sidewalks, 100 miles worth of drain lines, 140 miles worth of roads. Some of our key initiatives, that was a picture that we put up there is of Arbor Day. It's another thing that we do every year for Arbor Day. We plant a tree. The gardening club donates the money to plant the tree every year, so we appreciate them for that. And so part of our key initiatives is just continuing to maintain all the work that we need to stay up with our MS4 stormwater permit compliances, which is all of your street drains and everything. Road construction, we're working on just going around town and creating our plan of which roads need to be done. With that, DEP grants, educational and recycling programs that we've been working on. So just skip over to my budget. So the total budget we're asking for this year is $5,008,462. The total is up 2.9% overall. Some of the big increases that you'll see is we settled our contract with the collective bargaining agreement for my union workers, and that became step increases, equity adjustments, all along that. So that's most of those. And then most of my expense items stayed relatively the same. We had electric and natural gas did go up. The cost of those just went up, so we had to adjust accordingly. Licenses was a big one that go up, but that also is part of, because of the collective bargaining agreements, so stipends that my employees will get for carrying and holding certain licenses for them to be able to do work throughout this town. Do you guys have any questions about my DPW budget?
So I want to start off by saying, Ashley, it's amazing to me that you haven't even been on the job a year yet. And because the impact you have had has been significant, and you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Particularly your responsiveness to resident concerns. I very much appreciate the fact you email people back, call people back, meet them. It has been really fantastic, so thank you. And you and your team's support for the big town events, July 4th, the drone show, Christmas in the Square, has really been fantastic. So thank you for all that you're doing. You've been great.
Thank you.
In terms of your budget, I remember my first year on the board, I asked Randy a question about the snow and ice budget, and I said, Randy, what's like a 4-hour snow event cost us? He said, about $250,000, $300,000. So I've learned to pray that we have mild winters ever since that time. Because every time it snows and we get a long snow direct, I just think to myself, what does this cost in the town? But anyway, great job there as well, so thank you. So I'll turn to Julie for any questions.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you for your leadership. And I think you might get the gold star for the lowest percentage of the increase on the budget. So
Did you hear that, Tom?
Yeah.
You can't say it right to it.
Okay, so quick question about, I just wanted to ask about for the paving program. that those numbers that you have for paving is separate from the Chapter 97 money, the money that we get from the state, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so that's the town's contribution towards the paving program.
Yes,
and-
absolutely. This goes into, that more covers potholes, patches, things like that we end up doing around town.
Okay, great. And then do you have any idea about how much people are using the My Hingham app for reporting problems to you?
It's picking up more. I know than when I first started. We prefer when people communicate that way. We love the fact that they can send us a picture of what they're talking about rather than us kind of having to play a guessing game of driving down the street and looking around. So I'm hoping that we get more My Hingham involvement.
Okay, great. And then my final question is about licenses. So that amount jumped up a little bit, and I was just wondering, is it every certain amount of years that the license process has to be redone, or is this new licensure requirements?
So for licenses, we added to that line for the additional stipends that were given to, that were negotiated through the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
So it's a Class A license stipend, essential employee stipend, things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Liz, any questions?
Well, thank you, Ashley, for all your work. You're doing a great job, you and the entire team. And I appreciate how conservative your budget is. Do you feel like you have enough resources, though, to meet the demands of the requests you're getting from residents, keeping up with the road paving plan, all of that?
I mean, I'll never turn down any extra funds, but I feel like where I've lined it up, that we should be pretty good on track this year.
Okay, great.
That's kind of where I'm going with it.
Excellent, thank you.
And I want to, that made me think of another question. How are we doing meeting your capital needs? I know that, we've invested a lot more money in the capital budget, and the capital outlay committee's done a good job identifying things you need in terms of trucks, in terms of equipment at the transfer station. But overall, how are we doing with that?
So last year's unassigned fund balance that I got was amazing. I was able to make so many improvements, and because of getting the money that way, we made a huge impact on the DPW in a positive way. We've only have one more truck that we're waiting to get in that we ordered with that, and even with having some extras, we were able to do some extra repairs, which was fantastic. We have a couple more items that we're asking for this year. We had our meeting last night, and I brought them around and showed them the pieces of equipment, so then they have a better idea of me just saying this kind of truck. They actually got to see the truck and be able to explain what the needs are and uses for it. And so I think so far it's like great.
Great, excellent. All right, let's go to the transfer station budget.
So my transfer station is 8 guys, 8 full-time employees, 1 part-time. I have Bill Marshall is my part-time swap shop coordinator, so he helps maintain, do the scheduling and everything for all the volunteers that run that, which is fantastic. This year, so it's at $2,022,463. It is up, the total is up 4%. A big portion of that is, again, COLA and adjustments for salary for the employees because of the collective bargaining agreements that we settled that contract this year. Other than that, I don't have any other increases in my expenses for the transfer station.
Great, thank you. Liz, any questions?
I know we're starting a composting program, our pilot program. Is that included in this budget?
No, so the Black Earth is a company that has been collecting compost, household compost around town for a few years now. So through the RDP grant that I get, which is a state-funded grant through the DEP, I'm able to use that and use those grant funds. I use them mainly to do updates at the transfer station, whether it comes to things like that, but I'm able to use this grant money to offset the costs for residents to sign up for it. The more people that sign up, the lower the cost is on the residents as it comes. And so that's the money that I'll be using to pay for that. So it doesn't come out of my operating budget, it comes out of the grant money that we get through the transfer station.
Excellent.
And just one thing, I just feel like I should add it in is, I don't think people realize how much recycling and stuff matters at the transfer station. We make money off of that. So that really does help the town on different levels. When it comes to scrap metal and the frosted plastics, if people haven't noticed, we have a separate bin set up there. We make money off of the frosted plastics, it being separated from the other ones. So you guys helping us out with that is a huge impact, and it's been great. It's a program that we started this year. We're hoping to really push forward with it.
Great. Thank you for your leadership on that.
Julie, any questions?
No, just a thank you for looking for programs and ways to offset the costs of the transfer station and to increase composting, which will offset the cost of running the transfer station downstream for the hauling away of the garbage. So thank you.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments for Ashley? All right, seeing none. Ashley, Lance, thanks very much. Good seeing you.
Thank you. Have a
Thanks for all the
good
good work you're doing.
night.
Appreciate it. All right, next item on the agenda is to submit select board sponsored perennial warrant articles for the 2026 annual town meeting. So just real quick, before we take up this article, I want to talk a little bit about procedure and how I'm going to conduct the next part of the meeting. So procedurally in Massachusetts, really only three entities can legally put an article on town warrant. That's a select board, a planning or a zoning board, or a citizen petition. So the select board sponsored articles, we do try to get those done before the 20th. That's the deadline for the warrant at the midnight. Other committees in town can make recommendations to the select board to put it on the warrant. We require those to be received by the 20th before midnight, but we ultimately vote those on the warrant at a later time, all right? So tonight, the votes tonight that we're going to take are to put the articles on the warrant. Later, we'll have another vote and discussion about our recommendation on the article itself. But what I'm going to do is we're going to go through the perennial articles tonight, and that's going to be A through N. And we're going to kind of take those one at a time. I'll take public comment at the end of that discussion. These articles have been the articles that are on the warrant every single year. They've been on our warrant for the last 50 or 60 years. So they're going to be very familiar to people. I am going to, however, have Tom talk a little bit about them so people understand what the articles are. I'll take questions from Liz and Julie. And then again, at the end, at the discussion, I'll open it up for public questions or comments about A through N. Then I'm going to take Article P, which is the Center for Active Living article, separately from the other articles. We'll open that up to discussion and debate. I think a lot of people in the room who are here tonight, I anticipate are probably here for that article. Okay? All right. So with that, we will take up Article A, which is the Hannah Lincoln Whiting Fund. And Tom, after I name the articles, give us maybe a brief summary of what they are.
Sure. So the Hannah Lincoln Whiting Fund, otherwise known as the most controversial article annually, is our Article 1. This is a dispersal of a small amount of money to some folks down in South Hingham.
Julie, any questions?
No.
Liz?
No questions.
All right. Article B.
Article B, this is to allow the DCR to come in and do work on our property without liability issues.
Julie, any questions?
No.
Liz?
No questions.
Okay. Tom, Article C.
Article C is a receipt and acceptance of reports of various town committees. These are all standard committees that we do every year. There are a couple in this list that will come off in the motion from AdCom. For instance, the 2017 School Building Committee and the Public Safety Building Committee will both be, I think, dismissed in with our collective thanks.
Julie, any questions?
No.
Liz?
No questions.
Article D.
Article D is the report of the Personnel Board. This is sponsored by the Select Board every year. This is a report we technically get in March or so from the Personnel Board after they've evaluated and written a report about what they've done during the course of the year. For instance, settling different collective bargaining agreements, et cetera, and then any recommendations they have to personnel bylaw changes.
Liz, any questions?
No questions.
Julie?
No.
Article E.
This is Article E is the salaries of certain town officers that include the Select Board members, Board of Assessors, Town Clerk, and the Municipal Light Board staff.
Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
No questions. It was Municipal Light Board.
I'm sorry, Municipal Light Board, elected officials, not the staff.
All right. Article F.
Article F is Article 6. That's the budget.
We all know that one.
That's
We
right.
don't have it yet, it's blank. It'll be in
It
there.
will be in there.
You heard a little bit of it tonight. But
Liz, anything
No
else?
questions.
Julie?
No questions.
Article G.
Article G, this is the transfer from the stabilization fund. This is actually a line in our annual forecast that the original stabilization fund contains bond proceeds from certain school debt exclusion project from years ago. I believe it was the middle school, and it has to be used to pay the interest costs on those projects, and in that way helps to defray or reduce what we would need to raise in taxes.
Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
No questions.
Article H.
This is the annual disbursement from the Electric Light Department receipts, otherwise known as a pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes. Annually, it is a minimum of $450,000. Last couple of years, it's hovered in the range of $500,000.
Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
No questions.
Article I.
Article I is the Building Department revolving fund. This is the allowed use from the revolving fund. We use this to offset certain salaries in town, in the building department that affect the appropriate uses in that department. For instance, electric inspections and plumbing inspections and such.
Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
No questions.
Article K.
Article K.
Transfer of funds to the reserve fund.
To transfer funds to the reserve fund. This is the annual article that allows us to add money to the reserve fund that is needed in excess of the budgeted amount for the reserve fund. For instance, snow and ice. If we have a big winter and we need to expend more money, you just heard how much each storm costs. To the extent we end up needing more money in that budget, and the reserve fund is depleted, we need to replenish that account, and we do that with this. This year, that will likely include money for the out-of-district costs for the school department, as they in excess of what's allowed through the MOU.
Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
So this says raise, appropriate, or transfer. So most likely it's a transfer from fund balance to the reserve fund.
That's what it has always been. That's right.
Great, thank you.
Article L.
Article L, this is the transfer to the Municipal Waterways Improvement and Maintenance Fund. It allows us to move money from the transfer of funds generated from fees related to the Hingham Harbor and to the town's Municipal Waterways Improvement and Maintenance Fund for various uses during the course of the year.
Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
No questions.
Article N.
Article N, this is historically our traditional last article of the night at town meeting, and it's just a granting and acceptance of easements.
All right. Julie?
No questions.
Liz?
No questions.
Do any members of the public have any questions or comments on proposed articles A through N? All right, seeing none, I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion to submit the following Select Board-sponsored warrant articles for the 2026 Annual Town Meeting. Article A, Hannah Lincoln Whiting Fund. Article B, Assume Liability for DCR. Article C, Reports of Various Town Committees. Article D, Personnel Board Report. Article E, Salaries of Certain Town Officers. Article F, Budgets. Article G, Stabilization Fund. Article H, Disbursement of Electric Light Department Receipts. Article I, Building Department Revolving Fund. Article K, Transfer of Funds to the Reserve Fund. Article L, Transfer to Municipal Waterways Improvement and Maintenance Fund. Article N, Acceptance and Granting of Easements.
Second.
All those in favor, Julie?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. All right, next item on the agenda is to submit a Select Board-sponsored warrant article for 2026 Annual Town Meeting, which is Article P, which is a construction of the Center for Active Living. So Tom, want to just talk about the article briefly, and then I'll open up public discussion.
Sure, this is an article that would raise an appropriate borrower transfer from available funds, most likely a debt exclusion borrowing for the construction of a new Center for Active Living on Bear Court Park Drive.
Thank you. Any members of the public have any questions or comments about this agenda item? I'm going to go to the room first, and then we'll go to Zoom. So, Tom Carey, come on up, and I'm going to just let people know, I'm going to hold you, well, those in the room who want to speak, going to ask you to lectern, state your name and address or position, and then going to keep everybody to 2 minutes. Do you want to speak or just join us?
No, Tom, well,
Okay, that's okay. You can join us. You're the chair of the building committee. Thank you.
Tom Carey, 1131 Main Street. I'm the chair of the building committee. And I simply wanted to report to the board that earlier today, the proposed warrant article was reviewed by the building committee. And the building committee enthusiastically and affirmatively, by a unanimous vote, urged that you include that warrant article in this year's warrant. The committee, as you all know, has been working for several years now on top of all the work that went before. And we're quite pleased to have reached the stage where we have a proposal that we think it's appropriate to present to the town meeting.
Tom, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any members of the public have any questions or comments about this agenda item? Ness, come on up.
Not coming until I pull up my notes because I can't read. Hi, Ness Currenti, 17 Ward Street. I'm here tonight in support of the proposed Center for Active Living. I appreciate you're not voting on whether you support it or not yet. But I want to briefly acknowledge my perspective. I'm a resident and I'm also a caregiver for my mother, which has made me realize firsthand that many of us have blind spots about aging and senior needs until we're actually living them day to day. There's also a clear economic case. We know from experience what happens when we delay necessary investments. I appreciate hindsight's 2020. However, I believe that we should learn from our history. Had we built Foster when we should have, we would have spent $57 million at the time. We waited to get aid from the state. That delay cost us in the long run. We ended up paying $113 million, with only $28 million being paid back through state grant program. In addition to that, because we went with the MSBA, we were forced to build Foster to the specs dictated by the state agency. We face a similar choice now. Hingham's senior population is growing rapidly and predictably. This is not a surprise trend. It has been documented for years. A modern center for active living is not an optional amenity. It's a core infrastructure that supports aging in place and helps residents remain healthy, independent, and connected longer. When seniors struggle at home, isolated, sedentary, and disconnected, the costs don't disappear, they shift. They show up in EMS calls, hospitalizations, mental health crises, caregiver burnout, the increased demand for town services on the back end. Preventative investment is not just more humane, it's more fiscally responsible. We also know from peer communities across Massachusetts that when
20
modern,
seconds.
accessible centers for active living are built, participation increases significantly. And that matters in Hingham, which currently operates out of the smallest senior center footprint among its peer communities. An outdated space-constrained facility that limits participation, not because residents lack interest, but because the space itself cannot support it. The cost of this building is finite, and the cost of inaction is ongoing and escalating. At its core, the decision is about whether we invest proactively in infrastructure that reduces long-term costs and supports aging in place, or whether we continue to pay more later through emergency response and crisis-driven services. I respectfully urge you to support the Center for Active Living. Thank you.
Thank you, Ness. Go ahead.
Joe Nevins, 46 Lincoln Street, and I am Chair of the Council on Aging. I want to start first by thanking the Select Board, all of the volunteer committees, and there are many, for all the work that they have put into this proposed new center. We can thank you later if you support it, but for right now, we just want to thank you for all the support that you have given. But as we at the Council on Aging are acutely aware, for many people in town, they are only going to just start paying attention or learning about a new proposed Center for Active Living. We have been living with this for years. Most of the citizens in town have not. They have not been following this. They follow the Patriots, they follow other things. But in the next few months, they are going to start paying attention to that. This is an important project. It supports the social, the economic, and the physical health of a growing percentage of our town. And it's important that we respect those people and that we give them the facility that they need. So my request to the select board and to everyone else who is going to be involved in working and educating people about this new facility is that they focus on cost and benefit and not focus on one to the exclusion of the other. Because it's easy to focus on dollars. It's easy to focus on square footage because people can get their hands around that. It is much more difficult to articulate, in some cases, the benefit and the value to the town. And I take that as one of my jobs, one of the jobs of the Council on Aging, but also I think it is an important part of your job to educate people, not just about costs, which I certainly respect, but about the value that this facility would bring to the citizens of town. Thank you.
Joe, thank you very much. Anyone else in the room? Anyone else? All right, let's go to the Zoom. Don Marsters. Oh, there's Don. Yeah, I think you had a hand up. But
hand, yeah.
I saw her hand up.
That's
Oh, it's Diane. Oh, it's Diane. Okay. Diane, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Hi, yes, Diane DiNapoli, 16 Gardner Street. Thanks for taking my question. I just want to reiterate a little what Joe just said. I agree that I think it's really important that we look both at the cost that we do know, costs that are still outstanding, which I think to some degrees are being discussed tonight, like utilities, road work associated with this project. Some of the operational costs, I think, are still a little bit fluid. And I do think it's really important voters get a full, complete picture of not just the building cost, but operational costs moving forward. And then I just want to comment on, unlike Foster, the town is not waiting for any additional funds from MSBA or anyone else that I'm aware of. So I don't think we need to rush. I still think if we have a lot of outstanding questions, this is a critical project and it should be done right, where people can really understand what are we doing. Most people I talk to, a lot of them still think this is going to be at town hall. So we have a lot of education that needs to be done in a really short period of time to educate people. What are we doing? Some of the history. And if there is still time to make changes, I've heard there isn't, but if we're still feeling that way, maybe we wait 6 months, do it right, spend an extra $500,000 versus $20 million that we don't need to spend. So I just encourage us to keep an open conversation. Let's stay respectful. Let's really do what's right for the whole town, including our beloved seniors. Thank you.
Diane, thank you very much. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Oh, you're right.
Is anybody else on?
There's Don
Oh.
Marsters, his hand is up.
Let me go to Don, then I'll go to you, Yvette, later. I saw her hand. Hey, Don Marsters. Oh,
It's like,
Oh, boy.
Don, we see your hand and we're trying to get you here.
where'd he go?
All right, well, while we try to get Don back.
There we go.
He had his hand up. There you go.
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, he's up.
Don, go ahead. Have your name and address, please.
Come on.
We can hear you. Are you there, Don? All right, let's take Yvette. Yvette, come on up.
Yvette Cantor, 442 Main Street. I hear what people say about cost, and I'm going to go to what Ness said. We keep delaying spending. When we delay spending, it costs us a whole lot more. Now, I have sat with the building committee that I think has done a fantastic job. I've challenged them in what they're doing. They built this from the bottom up. There have been experts, there has been research, there has been a ton of work that's put in. I don't know how any of us standing here, unless you have a specialty, which please put your hand up, and you should have been on the building committee. I don't know how any of us second guess the work that's been done. They've worked hard to get the costs down. I don't know what else can be done. The building is fit for purpose, and I've talked to many people, and I say it has to be fit for purpose, no more, no less. And that is what is being put here. In my humble opinion, if you do not agree with this project, you do not agree with supporting your seniors. It's kind of as clear as that to me. I don't know how we second guess everything that's been done. And I think we need to learn from our mistakes. And we can't play Monday morning quarterback. This town, I believe, is run very well. I think we work really hard to do that and to do it together. And this building and the seniors were told, show up. Show up for the school, show up for the safety building, show up for the override, show up for the water company. You're next. We will make sure that you are taken care of as a part of our community. They have paid in. I don't like to say anyone is entitled to anything because I don't believe that, but I do think there's a fairness that comes into this.
Okay, about 20 seconds.
If we don't build this, we will pay multiple times over. There's no doubt in my mind. And I promise you, I'll be standing here telling you I told you so.
Anyone else in the room? Let's try Don again, yeah, see if we can connect with him.
All right, I'm going to try this one last time. Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, Don, we can hear you. Good, it worked.
Hey, geez, third time's a charm. So this is
Just your name
Don
and address,
Marsters.
Don, if you don't mind.
Sure, Don Marsters, 18 Guilford Road. So I'm going to speak from a different point of view. I am all in favor of HCAL as well. I am a fairly new retiree. And so just before the holidays, I posted something on Facebook in the Hingham Hub regarding are there other new retirees who are looking for an outlet to kind of get together and socialize? And I actually got some good feedback. And subsequently, I had set up a Zoom call. And then from that Zoom call, I actually had a meeting last week at HCAL, and along with working with Keith, Josh, and Jennifer, we had a good turnout. And subsequently, we actually have a meeting tomorrow as well. And I think what's important to know is that, as a baby boomer, I'm of one of the largest growth sections in the country right now. And it's only going to continue growing. And, people like myself who spent, 38 years in the corporate world are now adjusting to a new dynamic, and they need a place to go. And so it's so important to have a program or have a building like HCAL where there's different activities that can be done, people to interact with for the social, emotional well-being of the town residents. So I'm all in favor of this, and I think it's really important for the town to consider this and move forward with it.
Don, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jenny, come on up. Yeah, Jenny, we'll bring the microphone to you. We just need to, Jen, you can stay there. We'll bring the microphone to you. It's just. I really just, yeah, we'll bring the microphone to you. It's just so people can hear you at home.
Thank you.
And just name and address. I know you're going to hurt.
Jenny Ballou, 219 Hersey Street. I'm not going to say anything more in support of this because you'd have to be deaf, blind, and whatever to not want to have this built. What I am curious about, does tonight mean that it is not going to be on the warrant? Have we crossed that bridge yet?
Assuming that the majority of us vote for it, you're correct. It will
The
be on the
majority of the selectmen?
Yes.
Is that coming soon?
It's coming after. Well, once you put the mic down. No, I'm just joking. I'm totally joking. Do you want to add anything else? Do you want to add anything else? Okay, all right.
But that is,
well, we'll
that's on the agenda.
That's
for
on the
tonight,
agenda. Yes,
that
that's
vote.
correct. Yeah. So good question. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, I don't think anybody else is on there. Okay, all right, so now I'll open up for a select board deliberation discussion. So I'll lead off, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but people ask me my position on the project, so I'm going to kind of explain it tonight. So this past year, I've had the real honor of being the liaison to the Center for Active Living. It's been a wonderful liaisonships. We all have liaisonships, but it's just been very rewarding to me because I've got an opportunity to speak with a lot of members of our senior community. And I can tell you, our seniors are not afraid to tell me their opinion about things. And through my discussions, I've learned convincingly that the current Center for Active Living is not sufficiently meeting the needs or expectations of our senior community. So I'm 100% confident that we need a new Center for Active Living. And I think a lot of people in town agree with that premise. We looked at other sites, and I want to talk about this because it came up tonight. It's come up a lot in our discussions. I was adamant that the center should remain at Town Hall. The only person on the planet that was more adamant than me was Tom Carey. And Tom would call me, and this was debated for a year. Tom would call me during the year, and he would say, "Hey, Bill, I'm getting some pushback from my committee about moving out of Town Hall." And I would tell him, push harder, because it should be at Town Hall. I really think it should be at Town Hall. So we looked at different options for parking. Looked at putting a parking garage on Cronin Field. Well, the abutters absolutely loved that suggestion, as you might imagine. The abutters complained ferociously about that. We looked at possibly putting a parking lot at Haley Field. That was met with equal feelings about neighbors, abutters, also sports advocates. We heard a lot from the Hingham Youth Baseball Board, heard a lot from the rec department about the town taking fields that have been deeded in perpetuity to the town, particularly Cronin. And ultimately, right before the building committee voted, Tom had another conversation with me and he said, I'm convinced it shouldn't be here. We cannot make the parking work. And my committee is completely against putting it here. And I read the feasibility study, and I would encourage those who want to learn about why it's not at Town Hall to read that study, because I think it was done very well. I think it was very convincing, and it persuaded me that we need to look at another site. So we looked at other sites, and we looked at the driving range, and I was an advocate of putting it at the driving range off of Union Street across from the high school. And there are environmental obstacles to putting it there. There are wetlands there. There's a stream down there. There's really not enough space to put a new building down there. So we looked at other sites as well. And ultimately, the building committee and the select board landed on a spot right outside Bear Cove Park, on Bear Cove Park Drive. And there's been a lot of discussion about the size of the building, all right? There are a lot of people who think the building should be smaller. There are a lot of people who think the building should be larger, and I've heard from all of these folks. What I do know is the building's been reduced 10%. When the public safety facility was approved, it was reduced about 14%. But we have reduced the building 10%. And I spoke to the building committee about the size of the building. I said, this is what you're recommending for size of this building. You need to justify why you want a building of that size, why you want rooms that you want, and how they're going to be used. And I do think that over the course of the last couple months, we had a series of meetings that Jennifer Young came to, that the building committee came to, that talked about how these rooms would be used, how they would benefit seniors. And I think they did a good job. I think they did a really good job. I think Jennifer did a fantastic job. And, we had questions. The advisory committee had questions, Continue had questions. And I think Jennifer and her team really did a lot of good due diligence with getting those questions answered. And I understand there are more questions to be answered, and I'm confident Jennifer is going to do the best job she can to get those questions resolved. But ultimately, for me, it was always about the cost of the building. And it's always been about the cost of the building. Because I've learned with these capital projects, this Foster School, public safety facility, and now this building, that the fixed costs drive these buildings. And if you reduce it 5,000 square feet, if you reduce it 10,000 square feet, you're not going to be saving the taxpayer all that much. And where I'm coming from, in my role here, I'm looking at the impact of the debt exclusion on the taxpayer, because all of us are hearing a lot about affordability in town. We all opened our tax bills and we saw what those tax bills were, and they were significant. I'm not going to say they weren't. So for me, this project's always been about what is the impact going to be on the taxpayer. And when we hired Dan Pilata in June or July, and Chris Wanty, who's been on the project before, I met with those two and Tom, and I said to them, this has got to be under 30 million. You have to get this project under 30, or you're not going to have my support for it. And I think Dan and his team have done a good job to get these costs down as much as they can in a very, very fragile environment we're in terms of construction costs and labor costs. To be under 30 is a good place. And I continue to talk to Dan, and he's going to continue to work to try to bring these costs down. I realize that between now and April, if this is put on the warrant and approved, I understand that it's going to move now at a more de minimis speed than what it was, but he's going to continue to work with me on trying to get these costs down. But ultimately, what drives my support of this project is what I went through with my mother. And my brother and sister went through with this as well. And as my mother aged, I remember that her mobility wasn't what it once was. Her memory wasn't what it once was. But the sense of having a community was so important to her. And it helped her, live longer and lived happier. And honestly, it made us happier, knowing that she could go to a place where she was happy and she had programs and she could be part of a community. And I am 100% confident that this building will improve the mental health of our seniors, the physical health of our seniors, and it's needed and it's warranted. So I will be voting in support of the project tonight, and I anticipate very much supporting it as we go through the process. So I'll turn to Liz.
Okay, thank you. First, I just want to say thank you to all of you for your public engagement, attending meetings, speaking up, writing op-ed pieces, sending emails. Your perspective matters to me, and I think it really helps us as a board get to the best decision. I certainly understand the concerns about affordability. We're all living it. Taxes have gone up based on our shared approval of two major projects, the public safety facility and Foster School. It is a privilege to be a steward of this town, which means considering financial health and investments in our people and the infrastructure needed to support our people. I just want to reference the Hingham Master Plan, which was approved on August 23rd, 2021, which includes mention of the three highest priority capital projects. This is a quote. Given the many priorities for more and improved public services, including Foster School, a new public safety building, and the new senior center, and includes policy 7.3, which is to provide adequate spaces to support municipal facilities in their missions. Our town's financial foundation remains solid, so I see no reason not to continue working towards our goals as set by the Select Board and the Master Plan. While I understand the world feels very unpredictable right now, we have no reason backed in data that suggests that we should change course. So I firmly support moving forward with the capital investment in a new Center for Active Living as planned and as promised. So I will support it this evening to include it in the warrant.
Thank you. Julie?
Thank you. I want to thank the building committee foremost for all of your hard work over many years. I want to thank the residents and the volunteers for your advocacy for a very long time, but especially in the last 7 months. There's been a lot of hard work. There's been a lot of conversations. There's a lot of work on creating a plan for a building from the ground up, as has been mentioned. It's January. Town meeting will be at the end of April. It will seem like a long road, sort of a Groundhog Day situation where the same conversations have to be had during the warrant article process. What I mean is reaching other voters in the town. So I look forward to that process. Tonight is the next step on that road, and I support including this article in the warrant for town meeting. Thank you.
Excellent. With that, I will take a motion.
I'll make a motion to submit the Select Board sponsored warrant Article P, construction of Center for Active Living for the 2026 annual town meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. The motion carries unanimously. All right, next item on the agenda is appointments. Any appointments this evening, Liz?
No.
Julie?
No.
All right, then we'll go to public comment. Does anyone have any public comment tonight? Can you go to the Zoom? Any public comment this evening? General public comment, it's for items not on the agenda. Yeah, do you have anything? No? Okay, all right. We will go to Town Administrative Select Board reports, and I'll start with Art.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Tom?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Julie?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Liz?
Nothing additional, thank you.
All right, I also have nothing. I hope everybody has a great week. Thanks for all coming tonight. Thanks for all zooming in us home.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the
Second.
select board meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, it's Julie.
Aye.
Liz.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Motion carries. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. Thanks for